Hello, and welcome to episode 475,000 of Should I Make My Family Watch, a podcast where I make my friends and family watch crappy horror and sci-fi movies so you don't have to. I'm your host, Desiree, and today's unenthusiastic participant is my daughter, Marley. Say hello, Marley.
Hello.
I give you a detailed breakdown of the storyline with Marley's help as best I can, and then I rate these movies on my very own shit scale of 1 to 5, 1 being only a little shitty and 5 being the worst pile of crap I've ever seen in my life. Today's pile of crap is 47 meters down, Uncaged. We're going to spoil the shit out of this movie for you, so if you're interested in watching, please stop listening until after you've seen it. Ready? Great. Marley, take it away.
So this movie starts out, and it's about two stepsisters. One's name is Mia, and the other's name is Sasha. And they just moved into a new place and are going to a new school. So Mia's getting heavily bullied by, everyone. And I think it's because they made her out to be, some, quirky overall-wearing girl, which, I don't know why. If you wear overalls, you're just not cool, I guess, which is sad because I wore overalls the other day.
You're quirky.
I know, so quirky. And she gets heavily bullied, and another student is pushing her into a pool, and she almost drowned a little bit, only a little bit. And Sasha, her other sister, just watched and was like, "Oop, whatever," because they're not very fond of each other. And so their dad finds out and is like, well, you want to know what? You guys need a bond, so I'm going to try to plan a little boat trip so you guys can see some great white sharks, because sharks are cool, and bring sisters together, I guess. And so her dad gives Mia a great white-toothed shark. What I was trying to say was great white shark tooth, which her father gave her to remind her of all the times they went scuba diving when they were younger, because you see a lot of sharks, I guess. Which reminded them of, when they used to scuba dive together. And then, next scene. On the day of this, dreadful boat, ride, Mia and Sasha are at school, and afterwards Sasha was gonna drive her and her friends, I guess, to go swimming in this, lagoon-like place before they go on the boat ride. So, and Mia wasn't originally going to go on this, but Sasha sees her getting, bullied again by that same girl who pushed her in a pool, and was, feeling a little bit bad for her, but not, really bad, just a tiny bit of pity. So she was like, I guess you can come with. And then they flip off the lady, but it was, really, cringe, because they were like, ah, after they did it, and it was just really strange. If that happened to me, I would not feel intimidated, just really weirded out.
Just confused.
Very confused.
Yeah.
Okay, go see some sharks, I guess. And so they end up having, a really great drive over there. She's getting along with Sasha's friends, and she's kind of starting to feel like she belongs a little bit in her heart. Well, they finally get to the place that they're going, and it's, this huge, I'm trying to figure out a good way to describe it. Lagoon, I think is what it said. And there was, a cavern of, a cave at the bottom where you could, go in and see all the old stuff. But they were just kind of planning on swimming, and they decide to head first just jump in, clothes on, didn't bother to take off any shoes. And half of them were wearing, jeans and, overalls. And that was just very, very weird to me.
Who wants to swim in wet jeans?
That's
Zero people.
Yeah, that's just soggy, bro.
Yeah.
And then they take it off after they get into the water on this, deck thing. Go
it's a
swim
floating
for a little
dock.
bit.
Yeah. After they're already soaking wet, take off their jeans and shoes and socks, which I feel would have been helpful before they jumped in.
They had a resting point before they could have jumped in. They were standing over here and they're like, wow, it's so beautiful. And then just threw himself in, which, you want what? YOLO.
I guess.
And after swimming for a little bit, magically, I think I spaced out during this part, magically have supplies brought to them so that they can go scuba diving.
It's because the stepdad he's part of an underwater archaeology team, and also the boyfriend of one of the girls works with him as an assistant, and so they had staged supplies there so that as they're swimming through the caverns, they can, I guess, just have stuff there ready to go instead of having to tow it in. So there's stuff waiting there for them to use, and they decide they want to go on a little scuba dive.
I didn't see that before, though. I didn't see the supplies or anything, so.
Well, it was very quick.
It was very quick, I guess. I had the 2 seconds I stopped looking. And they decide, hey, this is boring. We don't want to swim anymore. So we're going to go in this little cave and look around because it was spooky. And Mia's, like, hesitant and is like, no, guys, we're going to, like, die. Whatever. And then they kind of, like, pressure her into this, like, hardcore, like, don't be a loser. Get in the water. And so they decide, finally, because, you know, it's a horror movie, gotta get to the good parts, that they're gonna go into the water and underneath into the cave where things lurk, I guess.
The girls dive down, and this cave is actually supposed to be the entrance to an old Mayan city, or a portal to, I think it's Xibalba, which is the land of the undead, or the entrance to the underworld, or something like that. And so when they dive down, there's all these old altars and like statues and things like that, and which that in itself would be a pretty neat little thing, until they see the blind cave fish swimming towards them, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. And then one of the stupid girls decides she's gonna touch it.
She's gonna, like, wiggle her finger around and be like, here, fishy, fishy.
Yeah, and that would be the first jump scare, because apparently this fish can scream, and it makes this heinous noise and, like, screams at her, which scares her, and then she jumps backwards in the water with scuba gear on.
She is in the water, so I feel like if you were to jump in the water, it would be a lot slower than how it happened.
Most definitely.
She just, like, flung herself.
Yes, in slow motion, but then she hit one of the statues, which started a domino effect and knocked over a bunch of crap in the cave, and then it actually ends up trapping them in there because it blocks off whatever exit, I guess, they had. So the girls have to... the girls get separated at some point during this, and 2 of them find the boyfriend who was working somewhere in the cave, and they just didn't know it. And as he's trying to help them, he very suddenly is eaten by a shark. And I think this was the first entrance of the blind cave shark.
Yes.
In there,
Start of the
which
show.
looks like a grumpy old daddy shark, and it is the cutest thing I've ever
Don't say
seen.
daddy shark, please. That is...
I think he looks like a grandpa.
He looks
like he should have no teeth, but he has teeth.
And he's gonna use them.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoilers, but he's gonna use them.
Spoiler. So the shark eating the guy forces the girls to swim deeper into the cave, because they need to reach an air pocket. I guess one of them is low on air for some reason, and they could hear music through the water. So they end up splitting up again, and the stepdad, I think it was the stepdad? No, it was another one of his assistants, is listening to water in the cave, welding something in the cave.
Thing is, how do you listen to music in the water?
Well, it would carry over the waves. Like, you can hear underwater, it just sounds different. You can actually hear further underwater.
Oh.
So,
The more you know. This has become educational now. So.
Now we have to follow it up by watching Shark Week.
Oh.
So they find another assistant who is listening to music, but he, of course, because he's being loud and not paying attention, also gets eaten by a shark, though I couldn't tell if this one was supposed to be blind or not. Because not all of them were blind, I don't think.
Spoiler, there's multiple. It's not just one shark.
Yeah. Though I couldn't figure out where they were all coming in from. That part didn't make sense. Anyway, where
they came in from, I'm pretty sure, is because at the beginning of the movie, the dad was talking about, like, is this the same place, I'm pretty sure, where he wanted to take the girls to see the sharks. So maybe that's connected. Who knows?
Yeah, that part wasn't clear, because if half of them could see and half of them couldn't, then...
I'm not talking about the sharks, I'm talking about the girls seeing the sharks.
Oh, no, the girls weren't blind.
Yeah. we think.
The girls could see. So somehow in all of this, the stepdad ends up finding them, and he helps them swim over to a place where he has a pulley system set up so that you can climb a rope to get out of these caves that don't really have walls that are accessible. And the one girl that everybody hates, and I can't remember her name, she decides that she can't wait while the other girl is trying to climb, and then starts climbing over her to get up the rope because she's panicked. And then everybody's screaming, like, you can't have two people on that line. And of course, they fall off, and the pulley system falls out of the wall and ruining it for everybody. But, you know, you feel a little bit of vindication when that girl gets eaten, like, immediately. It kind of sucks for everybody else, though. And then that's, I guess, when they realize that the sharks are blind, even though they see it kind of, I don't know how they didn't figure it out in the first part, but now they have the discussion. Sharks are blind. They've evolved in the caves. That's what's happening. So after the pulley system comes out of the wall, the stepdad tells them that the only way they can get out of the cave is to swim deeper into it to find another exit, because they haven't mapped all the exits yet. But as soon as he finishes explaining that to them, he is conveniently eaten by another shark, and then all the girls have to swim into the caves alone. And then they enter some sort of, I guess, cavern, but it has like a whirlpool in it.
That's like super harsh for some reason, and it's like
whipping them around in there, and then they get separated. The sisters do. So it's just one friend and a sister. And then
I think the friend's name was Alexa.
You are correct.
Yes.
Then another shark comes, who apparently is not affected by the whirlpool current in the cavern.
Both the sharks in there are like moving super slowly, and the girls are getting like absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense either. But one of them takes off the air tank and ends up drowning because she can't swim up to where she sees the air pocket fast enough. And then the remaining sister, who believes her sister to be dead along with her father, and she was way more upset about her stepsister she hated being pretend killed than her father, I thought.
Even though they were like super close at the beginning of the movie, I feel like I'd be way more devastated.
About your father being eaten before your eyes.
She was just like, oh no, and then her sister might be dead, and she's like, no!
Yeah, she was like screaming. She ends up swimming down, seeing that her sister is alive. They find a crevice. They squiggle out, almost being eaten a few times as this blind shark kind of hones in on them and tries to like wriggle through a really small hole. All right, I'm going to apologize now for any heavy breathing or yelling that you hear, because we are outside in the beautiful backyard with the dogs and the old men farming in the front yard, finding pickles on the plant.
And the neighbor kids who are, for some reason, grunting and screaming. Let's hope that's not a horror movie, too.
Okay, where were we? The girls find each other. They have to crawl through tiny little crevices to get back to the open ocean, which they do. They escape the blind shark, who was scriggling through after them. And then as they get out to the open ocean, they see a boat, which is further away than the cliff wall, which to me seems like a safer option, but they start swimming towards the boat until they realize that the boat is dumping chum in the water to attract sharks, because it is in fact that shark sightseeing tour they were supposed to be on. They get the tourists' attention just as they're attacked by sharks. The more popular sister gets bitten first, as the quirky girl gets up on the boat, and then she grabs a flare gun and jumps back in to fight the shark for her sister.
Also, randomly found a flare gun. Like, that is like, somehow she finds out within like 20 seconds after being like, I feel like it would take you a lot longer to find that, and you'd want to like sit down and actually breathe, because they've been swimming. You have to realize they've been swimming for like
hours and hours.
Yeah, so I like how she can still think straight, stop what she's doing, somehow finds the flare gun, jumps back in.
She's a hero, Marley.
Yeah, well,
and she knows how to fire a flare gun. That's pretty cool.
Which is very random too. Like, I thought she was just a quirky high school girl who gets bullied, but she's so much more.
So she jumps in the water to battle the shark to get her sister back. And she gets the shark to let go. And then her and her sister are swimming back to the boat. And then she gets grabbed.
Wow.
By a different shark, maybe the same shark, we don't know. And then they're kind of battling. And at this point, she grabs the shark tooth that her father gave her out of her pocket that she doesn't have somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know where she got a pocket because she's wearing like a
Bikini.
No,
right?
She was wearing like a swim leotard.
Oh no, the scuba suit. So she
Yeah.
would have had to take it out of her shorts pocket, put it into the scuba suit pocket, which maybe she did.
But do they even have pockets?
I have never scuba dived. I can't answer that.
I can't answer that either.
Well, she takes the tooth, stabs the shark in the eye a bunch of times, and it lets her go. Gets back up on the boat, and then they're both not dead because apparently sharks that can see don't bite as hard as blind ones.
I guess.
And they are rescued and surrounded by all these giant sharks in chum-filled water. And that was the end of that. So
Yay!
I make Marley watch these shark movies with me because I love sharks. And I hope that she loves sharks. But judging by the expression on her face right now, she does not love sharks.
With horror movies, for me, it is different from like what I usually like. And then there's horror movies that I like. With sharks, I find sharks very interesting, and like I like to look like facts up about them, but I do not really find them like scary in the horror movies. So when I watch shark movies, I become uninterested. Besides from being like, oh, that's a pretty cool looking shark, or oh, that person's being pretty dumb. That's kind of, it's hard for me to be like actually legitimately scared by a shark movie.
Though we did both have a jump scare moment.
Which was all your fault. I was more scared of you than the shark on the movie.
Because I was not paying attention. I happened to look at my phone, and then I was pretending to make a shark biting noise. And as I did that, I looked at the screen, and there was a shark biting in this, like, exactly the same coming at me, and it startled me. And so I screamed, and then Marley screamed, and then we both felt really dumb for screaming.
And then I just gave you, like, a look, because I was like...
It was
why? Why did you scream?
It was not a scary movie. All in all, I would give it a 1 out of 5 on the shit scale because I actually enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed them bringing in the Mayan temples, and the statues underneath the water actually looked pretty cool. Like, it would be a place I'd want to see. And the sharks were fun. I think sharks in almost any fascination, any facet are cool in movies. Marley, what would you rate it?
I'm going to rate this a 1.05 because, I don't know, I liked the movie. I think the concept was cool of, like, being stuck in a cave underneath the water that is supposedly, like, what was it, like a Mayan, like...
It was the entrance to, it was a temple. It had altars and everything, but it was supposed to be, like, the entrance to the underworld. To the where the dead people go. They used to put sacrifices down there to Chibalba.
Yeah, I like that concept. I think it's really cool to like incorporate that into the movie. Some parts I thought were a little dumb, so that's why that 0.5 is there. And sometimes the sharks just like looked a little fake.
They were CGI sharks, but
yes.
I liked the one that looked like a grandpa.
For the movie, guys.
Like Jaws.
Would they use a real shark for that?
No.
Oh,
they used like a big animatronic shark.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You don't like Jaws, though, do you? Have you seen Jaws?
I haven't seen it all the way through because I stopped. When you guys tried to make me watch it, I was like 7, and I didn't like the part where there's a bunch of crabs on a mountain, so I told them to turn it off.
They were eating a dead girl. That's why they were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because crabs are fucking gross.
See, you don't like crabs, but still watched it. I love crabs.
That was 2 seconds of the movie.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyways, we're not talking about that movie right now.
Yeah, right.
You're talking about 47 Meters Down, Uncaged.
So, all in all, Marley and I would rate it approximately 1 out of 5 stars. Would you watch it again?
Well, given that this actually was our second time watching it, because we had seen this movie, like, 2 years ago and decided to give it another chance because we were like, we don't know what movie to watch for this episode, so...
And we didn't really remember what happened.
No, we, like, did not.
So clearly, I guess it wasn't the shittiest because this was round 2, and I would maybe even go for round 3 somewhere in the next 2 years.
I feel like I would watch it with a friend. I think it was pretty good.
Good for watching with a friend. Well, Marley, thank you for being on the show with me.
You're welcome.
And I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts on this episode, this movie, this wonderful piece of shit. 47 meters down, Uncaged. Or we take your recommendations for future episodes. So you can email me or message me on Instagrams. Here are a few things I've been taking in this week that are not a piece of shit. For books, I am reading Frogs and Margaritas by Angel Ramon and Static Screams by Nico Bell. For movies, I'm reading The Ministry of... Or I'm not reading them.
You're watching them.
Well, I do have subtitles on like an old person.
I do that too, and I'm like a million years younger than you.
So, for movies, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was pretty okay. Marley, what have you read or watched this week that was not a piece of shit?
Well, I got a free book, actually, from the library this week, and I've been reading it. It's called Dungeons and Drama. Completely different from the stuff my mom reads. It's like a rom-com. So, unless you're reading, like, splatterpunk rom-coms,
They do have splatterpunk rom-coms.
It's not my style.
No, well,
you can read
you're a little young for that, I think.
Yeah. Just books or, like, anything?
Anything cool you've had this week that was not shitty?
Yeah, that book was pretty good. I've been reading a lot, and I guess I watched like a new like series this week called Queen Charlotte. Bridgerton, guys. Not this related, but wasn't totally a piece of shit. So that is it. Yes.
Okay. All right, follow us on Instagram at SIMMFW podcast. That's all they'd let me do. And if you don't hate us, please rate and review so we can feel good about ourselves. And please go out and watch shitty movies so we can talk about them together. Bye.
Goodbye.